Today in Across the Fence, we'll join nursing students at the University of Vermont for an international education as we learn about a Vermont-based foundation that's focusing on education and employment in the African country of Uganda. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Nursing students at the University of Vermont have returned from the study abroad program. The students were immersed in the healthcare issues of rural Uganda villages and towns. The UVM nursing students were not the only Vermont presence in Uganda. A Vermont-based foundation called 52 Kids is partnered with the UVM Nursing. To find out more, I'm joined by two guests. It's a pleasure to welcome Peter Brady, who is a longtime volunteer with 52 Kids Foundation, and also Christina Melvin, who is a clinical professor in UVM's Department of Nursing. Thanks so much for being with us.
Well, thank you.
Now, Peter, what is the 52 Kids Foundation?
The 52 Kids Foundation is basically a very small, hands-on foundation that operates out of Charlotte, Vermont, and we work in rural Uganda trying to support the education of literally, it's actually 54 kids now, but it started out as 52 kids. And our goal is to have those kids continue with their education as far as they're able to go, because everybody's level of capabilities in terms of education is a little bit different, and but we're there to support them both with their school fees, whatever they need in order, shoes, anything along those lines in order to actually attend school, as well as doing some infrastructure work at their homes, because in Uganda and rural Uganda, kids have a tremendous amount of responsibilities, from working, fetching water, collecting firewood, those kinds of things which actually interfere with their ability to go to school.
Well, actually, those are sort of life-sustaining chores that they have to do.
Absolutely. It's a day-to-day process of figuring out how they're going to get fed, you know, where their next meal's coming from, water, all those things, you know. So they really are in a day-to-day mode in this part of Uganda. And
how did the foundation get started?
It got started about 8 years ago by a young man by the name of Jagger Kerner, who's currently in medical school, and he's studying to become a doctor. He graduated from high school. I think he was 18 years old. He went to Uganda on a service, he got involved with a service program, and he said, you know, I can make a difference over here, and he started the foundation. His father got really excited about it, and his father has sort of took over the reins when he went to school and has run it since, and I got involved because I'm a good friend of his father.
And so what kind of progress have you seen?
We've seen amazing progress. These kids started out very small, and 8 years down the line, we've seen them develop into, we have one student who's currently in nursing school. We have 3 others that are about to start nursing school. And then we have one who's training to be an electrician. We have one who's working to enter the hospitality industry. We have another student who's captain of her cricket team at her high school. So the development has been really astounding. It's been a process. I've been lucky enough to be involved for, I think, 7 years. So I've watched this progress take place, and I'm blown away every time I go there.
And so, Christina, what's the relationship between the foundation and UVM Nursing?
Well, we have a collaborative partnership relationship with 52 Kids, and what it does is allow us some assistance when we go over as part of our public health nursing course, which is a required course for baccalaureate education. So it allows us to connect with the 52 Kids in Uganda, and they help with some of the logistics of us getting around and a place to stay and that sort of thing. And then they're also arrange for us to go into the villages and actually work with the villagers in very remote areas where there's no running water, there's no electricity, no cell phones.
And so tell the viewers about the purpose of UVM nursing students going to Uganda.
So part of undergraduate nursing curriculum is for students to take a public health nursing course. And more students are interested in studying abroad and going to developing countries where they feel they can make a difference. And so the students actually take their public health nursing course while they are in Uganda. So they study, they attend class each morning, then we go to the hospital and work for several hours, and then in the afternoon we go to the villages and work right alongside the villagers, making a huge difference in their lives.
What kinds of things when you say working alongside the villagers, we see some slides of, it could be anything.
Right, and because of 52 kids, the work that they would like us to do in the villages is outlined before we get there, so that we are able to take really wonderful advantage of the time we're there. So this year we went from December into January, and we helped people and built fuel-efficient stoves. So these are stoves that are vented to the outside of the hut where the cooking goes on. So it allows for more efficient cooking, but it also gets the actual fire part of the cooking more contained is a better way to put it.
So it's safer.
It's safer, and there's a real problem with smoke inhalation and children falling into these fires and becoming burned. So it's much safer.
And so it's just the fact that these folks didn't know how to do that or even realize that there was a different way of doing things.
And they had more, we were able to provide hands-on help with that. So we built quite a few of them.
And so while the course is part of the student's education, there's an extra travel fee involved.
Yes, Judy. Yeah, the tuition, so to speak, for the course is already part of the UVM tuition, but there's a cost for the flight and then lodging there. So yes, it's somewhere between $3,500 and $4,000 extra dollars.
Is it popular? Do students really want to go?
Yes, yeah. There's an application process. The students write an essay about why they're interested in going, and then they're selected. They have to have a good grade point average to go.
So Peter, how can people get involved with 52 kids?
Well, there's a number of ways. You can, first of all, we're a nonprofit, so we're always looking for donations. It's always a struggle to fund the work that we're doing there. But we also offer a travel program in which we take both high school students, and we also take adults that want a hands-on experience, as well as the nursing program that also runs their program. Mm-hmm. You can also you can learn more about us on the 52 Kids website, which is 52kids.org, mm-hmm. or we also have a Facebook page, so you can follow us on Facebook. So
okay, once again, that's 52kids.org, or you can call the foundation at the number on your screen. It's 802-425-2429. That's 802-425-2429. Well, joining us now is Nicole St. Germain. Nicole is a 2013 UVM nursing student graduate, and she was one of the senior nursing students who was part of the study abroad program in Uganda. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell us about your experience.
That's always a hard question to answer because it was a very overwhelming experience, but it was amazing. We saw some amazing things, some kind of horrific things, but it was just such a learning experience that you couldn't have gotten from reading a textbook or from even being in a first world country. So
what were some of the things that you did?
We spent a lot of time in the hospitals in the morning. So we saw a lot of the issues in the hospital over there, which are very different from what we experience in our clinicals in Vermont.
Like what?
Different diseases, malaria, Malaria was huge, and then traumatic events. We don't have a lot of machete accidents or work-related accidents, and it was, just a lot of different issues than we were used to seeing.
Mm-hmm. And so what did going to Uganda mean to you?
Well, when I first was accepted to go, I was beyond excited, but I don't think I realized what I was really going to get out of it. So now, being home, it means so much more than I ever thought it would have. It was an experience I could never have gotten otherwise. So,
mm-hmm. Was it hard?
It was very hard. I I don't think any of us realized what we were really getting into, and it was a very emotionally testing experience. Like, probably the hardest thing I've done thus far in my life, but I wouldn't take it back for a second.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that maybe someday you'd go back?
I do. If you would have asked me a week after I got home, I don't know if I'd say the same thing. But thinking back on it now, and now that I've had like a month to come back, like, it's absolutely amazing. And the people were absolutely amazing, so welcoming. Like, it was, yeah, I would go back.
How do you think you're going to incorporate this experience in your nursing career, do you think?
Well, in nursing especially, like, when I go into the hospitals, you just think of like really watching what you throw away and what you waste, because you see how little they have over there, and you make sure that you're not wasting stuff anymore. And then just seeing how strong people can be, like, in taking that and applying it to the patients I see now.
Mm-hmm. And Christina, what do you think that students are getting from this experience?
Well, I think I think a number of things. One is they're seeing the huge health challenges and challenges for the healthcare system in providing care. We were pretty surprised in the hospital how few supplies they have. And you know, in our hospitals in the U.S., we have every supply there is. So there weren't enough IVs, there weren't enough bandages, there weren't enough of anything. And there were days when there was no water, no running water, and no electricity. So I think the students really came away appreciating what we have, and as Nicole said, talking about the fact that we throw away so many of our things that we use in the hospital. But I think almost more than that, Judy, I think that the students have a feeling that they've contributed to something. And I think through the 52 Kids Foundation, where these children are being supported to be educated in their education, that is how the poverty cycle is broken. And so we worked with the 52 kids. We did health assessments on all of them. And you know, these children and young adults they're just so thrilled to be part of this program, because life in the villages as a child is very difficult. And they often don't go to school because they're responsible for walking miles to get water, to get firewood, you know, the things that we don't even think about in the U.S. So, and I think the other piece is, you know, the fact that we, in the U.S., when someone goes to the hospital, there's all kinds of diagnostic ability. And in Uganda, that's very limited. So it certainly gives a much different perspective. And out of the 10 nursing students who went with us, I would say at least 3 will go back. And I think many will be longtime supporters of the 52 Kids Foundation. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know, for internships, you're supposed to be getting experiences out of it, but it sounds like the people that you worked with got just as much from you.
Yeah, I think it definitely went both ways. I think what we really did is when we went into the community, we helped just bring everyone together. So we, hands down, were not as good at the work as the Ugandans were, but they were very accepting, and they would help us, and I think we helped bring everyone together. So it definitely worked both ways, and I learned more from them than they realized. I know that. So
was there one situation or experience that really stands out?
One experience that I had was I actually was in the hospitals and watched a cesarean birth of a little girl, and just to see that how, like, they had very, very little equipment, like nothing that required any sort of plug-in or anything, obviously. So to see that they can do something that amazing with such little supplies was amazing. Like, a birth in itself is always like such an experience, but to have them have such little stuff and be able to pull it off and this healthy little girl be born was phenomenal. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
So there must be all kinds of stories like this that you hear and you see.
Yes, yes. One story one situation we saw was a young boy who was 14 who came in acute renal failure. So in other words, his kidneys had shut down. And that day there was no electricity in the hospital. So there was no way even to get any blood work done. I mean, the physician diagnosed him correctly, but there was also no way to have dialysis. And this young boy died 2 days later. And I think that those kinds of experiences help all of us to realize what we have in the U.S. and that we take for granted.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to highlight the website for the 52 Kids Foundation. You can find the foundation online at 52kids.org. That's 52kids.org. Or you can call the foundation again at 802-425-2429. Thanks so much for joining us today. Great stories. You're very lucky to have that experience.
Yeah, definitely.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.
For a video copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-ATF-3430. Across the Fence is brought to you as a public service by University of Vermont Extension and WCAX-TV.